Hey guys, and welcome to day 9 of the food styling challenge. We are talking all about pancakes this morning, so let's go ahead and jump in. We've got lots to cover. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the actual cooking of the pancakes. So you can see I've already done a lot of them here, and we're going to kind of go through what the differences are between there, and hopefully we can get most of this in the frame here. The first thing to know when you're working with pancakes is that the best way to cook pancakes is going to be on a nonstick griddle. Hands down, you can try to use pans if that's all you have, but a nonstick griddle is about 30 bucks, and it works so much better. You can produce so many more of them at the same time, and it just gives you a much more consistent cook on them. So my favorite way to work with the nonstick griddle is to use like a canola oil or vegetable oil to put all over it. So we're going to go ahead and do that here. And you just want to lightly coat all the way through here. Now you can use Pam. I don't prefer it as well. I feel like this gives a better texture to it. Some of these we'll go through and I'll show you have been done with a Pam nonstick spray, and you'll kind of see the differences as we get this going. Now, when you're working with the nonstick griddle, you want it really hot. So about 400 degrees is what we've got it to. And then your batter is going to be all mixed up here. Put this over here. And you really want to keep an eye on, yes, Stacy, please come over and eat. I have so many pancakes, I don't know what to do with myself. So this is the consistency that I like my batter at. Now, when you work with these, what you need to know is that pancake batter is made with baking powder. And what that means is that it's a quick bread, and it is going to start to deactivate as that baking powder dies, which is why the longer you're working with the same mixture, the more deflated they're going to be and the less consistent they're going to cook. So only mix up enough to work with a couple batches at a time. Don't try to mix a really big batch of it because it's going to start deflating as you go along. The other thing to know is while you're cooking here, most of the time when you're cooking pancakes at home, you would say you want to start flipping this pretty soon because you're seeing these starting to pop. And that is not going to be the case when you're cooking pancakes for camera. You're going to overcook them slightly, and that is because if you try to flip this right now, it's going to kind of slosh off when you flip it over, and you're going to have a lot of inconsistent edges to work with. Where's my spatula? Okay, the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to spray your Teflon spatula here. This is a pretty small one. I couldn't find our bigger one this morning, but if you can get the wider ones to where you can get all the way underneath there, that's even better than these. But what you're looking for is you really want it to be dried out around this edge. You can see we're still, yes, Stacy, you flip a little too early probably. Now, granted, if you're just eating them, I flip them early too because I don't care about the edges at home. But if you're doing them for camera, you definitely want to let them sit a little bit longer. So that looks pretty good. You can see this is still pretty soggy through here, but the edges are very complete. And so you've got very minimal sloshing through there, which is great. So what you can see here is because we use the oil, and this might even be a little light on the oil, it's got a really nice kind of crispy edge here, and the coloring is really nice and even. This is more of a lacy pattern versus like a completely solid one, but this is my kind of default. So we're going to pull these off of here and kind of talk through what's going on with these other pancakes. So give me just a second here. Jeremy, can you grab this? Very hot. Okay, so the next part of this is kind of looking through some of the differences of what's happening with each one of these. Now, these were cooked dry, and you can see that they look okay. Let's see if I can focus in a little bit. They don't have any kind of nice gloss through here. There's no real crisp. They just look a little flat. So you don't want to cook with no fat on there unless you're, if you're doing it for camera, because you're just not going to get the consistency that you want. Whereas, let's see here, these ones were done with Pam, which you can see they're okay. They've got a little bit of crispy on there. It's hard to see on the camera, but there's a little bit of shine to these, whereas these ones look very dry. So these ones are getting better, but I prefer to cook with them on the canola oil. And that, again, is just giving you that nice crisp through there. And it really gives a better texture, I think, for holding the syrup and just the overall look there. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you here is what happens when you're pouring them in. So this pancake, we poured it in, and then we added a little bit more batter to it because we realized it wasn't big enough. You cannot do that. You'll see this line all the way through here. You want to come in with, we use a 1/4 cup scoop for about a 4 to 5 inch pancake. But if you use anything smaller, you're going to get these little silver dollars. So when you come in, let me grab a pan here, just to show you this pour process. Again, I prefer the skillet, but when you come in with this, you want to come in about 4 inches above, and you want to pour it in one full stream, tip it up, and then pull it right out. That way you don't get any drops coming around here, and you get a very consistent fill all the way through there, where you're not getting all those rings into your pancakes. Okay, and then the other thing to talk about here is just the consistency of your batter and using different brands of batter. What we recommend is mixing to the consistency that's on the package, and then you just kind of have to monitor it. So you want something that is pourable to where it's not too thick, but you also don't want it too thin. So I'm going to show you a couple differences here. This one and these ones here. This is from a much thinner batter. And you can see that these are just, they're very flat. There's not a lot of texture here. There's not a lot of visual interest here on the sides. That's what happens when your batter either deflates because you've been working with it for too long, or if you've just thinned it out too long. And then these are extra thick. So and some people like them like this. Some brands will like this to where they want them really, really fat. But I don't think it makes a very good stack there. So that's what happens if you let it get too thick in there or you add too much batter into it, is that you're just going to get a lot of anomalies through there, and it's just very thick. So you want to go with something that's right in the middle, to where you still have a nice consistency through there, and they're just a medium thickness. So those are kind of our varieties there. The other thing to know is when you're working with the pancakes, as they're coming off, you don't want to start stacking them because they'll start steaming each other. So we use this cookie sheet. This is a giant oversized Nordic ware sheet, but you can also use like a wire rack. If you're using a wire rack, my recommendation is to cover it with wax paper or something like that, to where you're not getting those grid lines through there. But my go-to, honestly, is just to use these. We spray them down with Pam, and then we just set all the pancakes out and let them cool completely. And that's going to give you a lot more control with them, and it's also going to keep them from crushing each other and starting to deflate them. So that's the basics there. And then we're going to go ahead and start building one. So let me grab a plate and our props, and we'll get going here. Okay. So, let's see if I can pull this off. Kind of a tiny table for doing all of this, but let's see here. Okay, so the basics of what we're going to do, you want to start with some of the bigger ones and kind of just work down through your stack. So we're going to use here. And what you're going for is putting the slightly larger ones on the bottom, and then you're just going to kind of cascade up a little bit into the smaller sizes. And that's because as the camera comes at it, you really want that cascading kind of lip there for the pancake syrup to come down. So that's pretty good on that one. You could go up higher, but for now, that's what we're going to do. Now, there's a couple of trains of thought on all of this. When you're going to put the syrup onto it, what's going to happen is that the syrup is going to start to absorb into the pancake. If you've ever poured pancake syrup over your pancakes, you notice that it just starts to soak into there. So some people spray them, which is what we're going to do today. You can also just work really quickly, but again, if you have a bigger shoot that you really need this to work on, just go ahead and spray them. It's not going to be the end of the world. So I only spray the top one because I feel like it's the most important and because I don't like damaging all the pancakes with this, but we are spraying this with Scotch Guard. This is fabric protector. You do not want to eat this, but it does do a really good job. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. We're just going to set that there and let it sit for a minute. And that's just going to tighten up that texture there to where it's going to give it a little bit more playtime for us to work here. And then we're going to work with our butter. So a lot of food stylists work with margarine. I prefer to work with natural butter just because it's what we eat, but margarine will give you a little bit better color. So we freeze these to get the pats nice and solid to work with. And then we're just going to kind of place like that. And then we're going to start with the syrup, and I'll show you how we're going to work with this in just a second. Because these pancakes are not hot, this isn't going to just melt for us. We're going to have to actually make it look like it's melting. So this is very cheap pancake syrup. You don't want real maple syrup because it's too thin. And this pancake syrup has been in the freezer. That's going to give it a little bit more viscosity to work with. You can also boil your syrup down and just make it thicker. There's quite a few trains of thought on how to make that work. You can put dark Caro syrup in it and thicken it up, but a lot of times because we're fast and we know our team and we work really well together, we'll just use this and put it in the freezer. And normally this would be a little bit thicker, but it's been sitting on the set here for a minute. So just going to kind of come like this and do a few legs out. And then you'd have the photographer firing right now as that's dripping right down through there. The other thing to know about your butter, this is melted butter, and we're just going to come in and start dropping this on top of the other butter. Normally we would keep this on the pancake burner, and we're just going to keep it nice and hot so that it really starts melting and dripping down just like that to give you that texture. So again, working through there, and then you can kind of adjust here, and if you need a different shot, you have the photographer shooting right in through there and have someone coming in right up over the top to watch that drip down. So those are the basics, guys. I hope that is helpful. If you have other questions about this, feel free to shoot me a message, leave me comments on here. I am replying to comments, and I'm always happy to jump in and show you guys any kind of tutorial that you would like to see. I hope you're enjoying this challenge. We will be back tomorrow talking about another topic, so feel free to jump over and see us again then. And do take a look back at the other days in the challenge because they are going to expire. They will be going into our paid membership site. So if you want to get them now before they are locked down behind there, definitely check them out because they will be gone soon. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye!